Canada now has one of the highest teen vaping rates in the world. For 3 years now, the federal government has been promising a national ban on flavored vaping products. They say now that it's coming soon. Anti-tobacco groups are starting to get impatient. Joining us with more this morning is Flavoured Vaping. She is the co-director of the Quebec Coalition for Tobacco Control. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me, Anne-Marie.
While the federal government has delayed implementing a full-out ban, 4 provinces and 2 territories have moved forward with bans of their own. Many other places have also restricted the sale of flavored vaping products. Why is a national ban then still needed?
Well, this patchwork of regulations is actually making it difficult for the individual provinces or territories to have good enforcement. We're seeing industry just skirt the regulations by shipping products outside those provinces. So in Quebec, we regularly and easily can obtain products that will come from Ontario or Alberta. And so just a national ban just makes a lot more sense and will help with enforcement. It's also important to remember the reason why we're doing this is to protect kids, and all kids across Canada, regardless of the province where they live, should be protected against these vaping industry inducements. The flavors are a huge appeal for vaping, and they actually even trivialize the risks at this point.
On the other side of this issue, advocacy groups like Rights for Vapers say a national ban would not only turn people to cigarette smoking, it could also lead to the creation of an illicit market for flavored vaping products. The group is also arguing there's already a thriving black market in Quebec. What do you say to that?
Well, the first thing is that the federal ban wouldn't ban all flavors. It actually allows for mint and menthol. In our eyes, that's a huge loophole. But I mean, we're hopeful that the federal government would fix that in the years to come. It is the approach that they had used in the past when they banned flavors with tobacco products. They had allowed for mint and menthol and then closed that loophole later when they saw that the products were still appealing to kids. But that said, people turn to vaping, smokers turn to vaping to reduce the risks in the hopes to quit smoking. There's no reason why they would return to cigarettes. Cigarettes are not more flavored than vaping products. So that's, one argument that doesn't stand there. And the flourishing Quebec market that we have, let's be clear, it's not one of products that are contraband or illicit in the regular sense or in the conventional sense that we've come to understand. These products come from manufacturers, from distributors, from retailers that are known to government. These products are uncompliant to the Quebec regulation, but they're perfectly legal in Canada, and that's why it's incoherent to allow these highly flavored and fruity and kid-friendly and everything else gimmicky products to be sold legally in Canada.
Listen, Flavoured, just before we move on to sort of the governmental side of this, I'm curious about the fact that they would still allow for mint and menthol. What's the thought behind that?
There's no scientific rationale for that. The Canadian government has been very timid at this point when it comes to regulating vaping products, and they're doing it very slowly, very incrementally. And I mean, it's having a huge impacts with youth vaping. As you mentioned, Canada has among the highest youth vaping rates in the world. So it is a huge loophole, but at this point, something is better than nothing. And it still sends a signal to industry and to kids. And it would be helpful for kids and teachers and parents all across the country to know that the federal government is taking a stand on flavors. And I think that will kind of have echoes in how parents and teachers can speak to products. Because at this point, it's one thing to say that these products are not designed for kids, but then to allow fruity and kid-friendly flavors.
Right. Really quickly before we go, Flavoured, what should a national ban look like? What would the ideal be for you?
Well, it would be like one that we're seeing in some countries in Europe and the Netherlands, where there's a very limited set of additives that is allowed, and those additives will confer a tobacco flavor or no flavor. So the ideal measure exists, but Canada has typically taken an approach that's incremental. And I think in this respect, if Minister Sachs can deliver on the proposed ban that was tabled in the regulation that was tabled in 2021, many health groups, all health groups will applaud. It's a step in the right direction, and surely it could be improved, but that could come later.
Co-director of the Quebec Coalition for Tobacco Control, Flori Duca, thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me, Anne-Marie.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.